Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Forever Game Podcast. And today we are going to talk about the thing that we usually always talk about, which is ourselves. But
for some reason interests people.
Well, yeah, people.
I think it's just we talk about it in context to ourselves, but it's relatable thoughts for everybody to have.
Yeah,
one of the essential
topics. Parts of the Forever Game is constant analyzation of your own behavior and where you fit.
Yeah,
right,
and how you can grow.
So today we've both taken, using Kim, I think we've both done this, correct?
Yeah. The old Strengths Finder.
The old Strengths Finder through the Gallup research model or whatever the crap that is. I've called it a personality assessment before, but that's not what it is, I guess. They don't like it when you call it that.
What do they like you to refer to it as?
I'm not sure. But so when you take the Gallup Strengths Finder assessment, you're left with at the entry level your 5 strengths that it lists for you. Mm-hmm. And those 5 strengths are characteristics that define how you prefer to work. It doesn't mean you couldn't work outside of your strengths. It just means that naturally that's where you would probably spend most of your time if given the chance.
Yep.
And those 5 strengths fall under all of the strengths. There's like 34 of them or something like that. And your top 5 are the ones that you operate in the most if given the chance, where you more naturally are comfortable. But all of the strengths fall under what they have here as 4
themes.
Themes, right? 4 themes. And so the 4 themes are executing, so getting things done in like a certain consistent way, influencing, so having some sort of influential power over others, mm-hmm. positive or negative, relationship building, which is self-explanatory, and then strategic thinking, which is also, I think, self-explanatory. So, but they are detailed strengths within those, so they fall somewhere within those 4. So we're going to go over ours today, and then we're going to talk about how we think we are either working in alignment with those,
or not.
And that's where I think probably some of our weaknesses come in the work that we do, is we're doing some tasks that fall outside of our strengths,
yeah,
or at least our top 5. So Jamie's going to jump into her top 5 first.
Woohoo! Okay.
But a little caveat: you took this when you were like 22.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I took this, what it would have been 2017, so 3 years ago.
Got it.
They still should be the same, theoretically.
Yeah, you would think.
Kim has told me that they really don't shift a whole heck of a lot. It's a matter of your top 7, like your 6 and 7 might pop into your top 5.
Got it.
And then, so that's really the most shifting. There's not huge changes that partake.
Sure. Okay. But the assessment itself takes about 45 minutes to an hour. It took me about 15 minutes.
Takes about 10.
Yep. And
Mr. Skim through everything.
Yep. But anyway, so what's your number 1?
Okay.
So list it, read it, or summarize it if you feel like you can summarize it.
I have the little summary in front of me because some of them I forgot what they aren't so obvious. But okay, so my number 1 is empathy. Okay, now empathy means that people who are exceptionally talented in this trait can sense other people's feelings by imagining themselves in others' lives or situations.
Right.
That means, aka, which I find myself doing, like I put myself in other people's shoes.
Right.
I try, it's like almost to the point of exhaustion. I will feel for other people.
Yep.
Even more so than I feel for myself. And yeah.
It gives you an advantage in like kind of the marketing area, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can imagine other people, but you're so strong in it. Sometimes I think it's a detriment in negotiations for you.
We just talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah. Where you care so much about how someone else is feeling, it almost overpowers what you could feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it does.
And so you prefer to make decisions based on
making other people happy versus myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the opposite, the negative side of having a lot of empathy.
But as long as you know that, right? And you have like a people around you that really care about you, they won't let you do that.
Yeah.
Right? Or they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure my wife is really high up on that as well. But yet, and maybe this is true for you and Micah, she uses that skill for everyone else, but not necessarily for me.
I think Micah would agree with that, because when I've told him, because this was really the only one outside of maybe my second that I could remember in my strengths. And when I told him this empathy was my number one, he's like, yeah, you need to retake that.
I think something happens with people like you and my wife is you have this tight inner circle and it's tough to get in there.
Yeah, I don't.
But once you're in, you almost consider them part of yourself.
Yep.
Where you're like, Micah, I agreed for you to go help this other person with this thing. I volunteered your time to make them feel good because you're like an extension of me.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. It's so true. And it's like almost then you get the tough love.
Yes. I have to know that my wife, like just walking by and me going to give her a hug and she actually like reciprocating the hug, that's the most I'm going to get out of that. Like I gotta be happy with that and be like, oh, she is not overly, I don't want to get too much into that, but she's not like a PDA queen.
Yeah.
Right?
We're the same.
Because not only does she feel awkward, she feels like everyone else feels awkward because of it. Mm-hmm. And, but I take what I can get.
Yep.
Take whatever.
You got to do that.
Whatever affirmation
Speaking from
I can
our
get.
side.
Uh-huh.
You take what you can get.
Like it could be just one little thing. Like she could be like, "Oh, you don't look too bad in that shirt." And I'll be like, "I'm gonna take that."
Yep. Mm-hmm. You don't look too bad.
Right. All right. What's your number 2?
Okay. Achiever, which means people exceptionally talented and achiever in the achiever theme work hard and possess a great deal of stamina. They take immense satisfaction in being busy and productive.
Is that true for you?
Yeah.
You feel
I like to get shit done.
You feel most alive when you've got stuff to do and you've been executing on it.
Yeah, when I've got stuff to do and I'm actually doing it.
Right.
Like crossing things off my list is satisfying.
Sure.
100%.
So you're a list maker?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think our listeners know that by now.
Yeah. I don't make lists, as most people know. But my wife is a list maker. Or do you make lists? Do you make the list and put things on the list that you've already done so that you can cross them off at the beginning?
I'll probably add them to the list if I've started them. Like they're halfway done and I know I'm going to cross it off soon, but it's going on there. And then, because it's almost like a momentum builder.
You get like a little bit of positivity.
Yeah.
Got it. My wife will make lists and the top 5 things, she's like, oh, I'm already done with these. I'm like, why'd you put them on the list? Because I'm done.
I got them done.
Great. Good for you. But I think a lot of people out there make lists and do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They like that feeling.
But I definitely notice, it impacts, I have to make, literally every day I make a list about what I'm going to do for that day because it just gets me in a right frame of mind, makes me feel, keeps me productive. I don't know.
Keeps you focused a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think I get specifically like with the work that I'm in, I get torn in like so many directions that I want to, at the end of the day, be able to say, here's what I got done.
Right.
So that's
cool.
That's the achiever in me.
And
I like winning. Is that another achievement?
Could be. I don't know.
Who knows?
Number 3.
3, individualization. This is the one I really don't understand, but what does it say about individualizers? They are intrigued with the unique qualities of each person. They have a gift for figuring out how different people can work together productively. So
they like working on a team and they like being able to look around and put people in the right position to be successful.
Here's what you got to do. Here's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
I can see myself doing that.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're bossy, but they like figuring out what people are good at and putting them in a position to be successful.
Yep.
If they can.
Mm-hmm. Which I think those two probably, like the empathy thing works well with the individualization because you're thinking about other people and then you're like, okay, what could they do? Where can they fit? Where they'll perform the best.
Right.
Who knows? Okay, number 4 is relator. Relators enjoy close relationships with others. They find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a goal. That sounds like a rah-rah one.
It's very much what you do.
They find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends
Makes sense.
to achieve a goal. Yeah. Okay.
You've definitely
like
got
achieving
that.
goals.
You've got that going.
And
in
I
your-
like my little close circle of friends that we achieve goals together with.
Right.
That made no sense.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think it's definitely reflected in the work that you do.
Okay. 5 is harmony. People that are harmonizers look for consensus. They don't enjoy conflict. Tyler's nodding so hard. Rather, they seek areas of agreement.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting to hear what
peacekeeper.
Micah has to say about that. But in general, it's probably true.
Yeah. I'm 100%. I will avoid conflict to a fault.
Yep, to your own detriment.
Yep. I
Yep.
hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Even if you're totally in the right,
I know.
you'll just not.
I know. I just will say whatever. They clearly think that they are right, and I will then let them think that
Yep.
and move on with my day.
The fear of being uncomfortable and having that confrontation is stronger than actually getting to the right decision and like doing the right
I
thing.
know.
Sometimes in you,
I know.
but it also means that you work really well in a team, right?
Yeah.
Really well in a team, and maybe you're drawn to people that are a little more decisive
Yep.
because you.
Which is why I hang around you.
Yep. You're just kind of like, sure,
Yep.
sounds good.
Yep. Okay. Glad we made that decision. Let's move on.
But
Get shit done.
you have been you are a little more comfortable where you'll tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I think that side is like something I've acknowledged about myself and have been working on, like
Right.
just speaking up more, getting comfortable with that, getting
Right.
comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable these
Yeah.
days.
Right.
Because I will tell you, like, no, I don't
like that.
like that.
Yep. The font is too big.
The font is too big. Those letters are ugly.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I tell you?
Yeah. I mean, probably not enough. Let's be honest. You probably still have to work on it a little bit with me. And I try to open the door to say, like, I know you're not comfortable with that, but I need that.
Yeah.
Right.
The constructive criticism. Yeah.
Mhm. Do you feel like your top 5 are pretty accurate?
Yeah. Actually, now that I'm thinking more about them and revisiting them after a few years, I'm like, these are still pretty dang applicable.
And so in the 4 themes, because you had your 5
yeah.
detailed characteristics, what are the kind of the themes? Because each one of those characteristics
So
falls
this was
under
the
a theme.
interesting part. This is where I really thought it was funny when I started looking at yours compared to mine. So of the 4 themes, 4 of my strengths fall under relationship building. And then 1 falls under the executing theme, which is the achiever side. So, AKA, I should be put in positions that allow me to build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I should be doing work that helps, which I think I'm getting there.
Totally. I mean, I think marketing is a macro version of
Relationship building,
Relationship
which is
building.
why I think I love it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, totally.
And I love the communication side of.
Yeah. So you have 1 in executing, which means you like to get things done. Then you have 4 in relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
So you're very much into the like work with people, understand people, and then act on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The bummer of that is that there's no strategic thinking. And I don't really, the influencing thing, I'm not
You don't
overly
need it.
sad about that.
Yeah, you don't need
But
it.
the strategic thinking, I'm like, oh, I wonder. That's where I sometimes fall short in marketing.
Well, and it's also why sometimes I think I'll come to you and be like, what do you think about this? And you'll be like, nah, I don't like that at all. Because it'll come off this way or, whatever.
Uh-huh.
You have your reasons and I just trust them. But then sometimes you might come to me and say, I need to figure out how to do this in my life. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, like just an hour or so ago.
Right.
In our conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the part
Let's
that
get to the
we
part
all
that
know I was looking
you've been
forward
waiting
to.
for.
Yep.
You're like fumbling through my stuff to get to yours.
Hey, I feel like I
No,
did
I'm
a
just
nice
kidding.
job
You
of
did.
acknowledging that,
You did.
ignoring the draw to talk about myself, which we know is a problem, but we're trying to work on it. Okay.
Okay, so what does this mean about your strengths? Where's your number 1?
My number 1 is activator.
Okay.
An activator means, or according to this, is people that are exceptionally gifted in the activator theme can make things happen by turning thoughts into action. They want to do things now rather than simply talk about them. And interesting enough, you would think the activator
would be
characteristic-
under execution,
you'd
but
think
it's
it'd fall
not.
under executing, but it's not. It's under influencing. So once you like have an idea, rallying people around the idea and like getting like a few people to take action on things.
Yeah.
Right.
Which you have millions of ideas. You have the
Too
most
many.
ideas out of a lot of people I hang around with. To a fault.
To a
right?
fault. But I feel like I've gotten a little better about that.
Yeah. The filtering of the ideas I think has gotten better.
I still acknowledge them and talk about them, but I'm like, that's terrible. And I don't do anything.
Yeah, let's think about that. Let's let that settle.
Right. I need to noodle on that. That's what I say a lot.
I need to noodle
on that. All right. Number 2, people, ideation. People exceptionally talented in the ideation
geez.
theme are fascinated by ideas. They are able to find connections between seemingly disparate phenomena.
Disparate.
So things not connected, they can find connections between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always kind of felt that about myself, that I'll just, to a fault, where some people can like, here's all of the results we've gotten. We don't really know how to make sense of them. And I can make up a narrative like that makes sense.
Yeah. Which I feel like your top 2 together are just kind of a massive amount of new energy into the world consistently.
Yeah, I think so. And
The force to be reckoned with.
coming up with a narrative that people can believe and then like take stock in and say, yeah, I agree with that thing you just made up. That sounds like it makes sense. Let's
Is
do
that where
that.
some of your like really good storytelling
I think so.
comes in?
Yeah. Especially when, especially with if there was number 6, it's probably like exaggeration. And I've had to work on that. But
Okay.
okay. So that totally, and in fact, we had an episode on me turning off all of my like podcasts, everything, so that I could think of more things. And when I'm just driving or I'm just on a walk and I'm not consuming anything, my brain just starts thinking about stuff and connecting different things. What about this? What about this? What about this? I text you and call you stuff, and I'm like, I need to put it on my Jamie list because I know she'll remember it, or maybe. And
Usually I try my best to remember things.
Yep.
And write them down. See, that's where the list making gets us, because
Yep.
I'll at least write it down.
Right.
And then we have ideas that we can come back to.
Yes, which is the goal. Number 3, individualization, which is the same one as yours. And number
we're
3,
both number 3.
both
Okay.
number 3. And so we don't necessarily have to go over that, but we enjoy understanding the different qualities in each person. We see qualities in each person, and we like finding work that meets their strengths and having the team work together well.
Yeah, having a functional team that's happy in the roles that they're fulfilling.
Right.
Our big team.
Yeah, our big team. See, we got our studio audience
It's literally crickets
right
in here.
And, we're doing another episode here in a second, if we have time. And talking.
We are, for sure.
Okay, got it. We're doing another one. How this, virus going around is changing business. And when I think about our business being successful and growing, and what my dream would be, is my dream is having lots of people, or as many people on the team, and having people work in things that they like.
Yeah.
That's like one of the main parts of the dream, which I think relates to that number 3, Number 4, strategic. People exceptionally talented in the strategic theme create alternative ways to proceed. Faced with any given scenario, they can quickly spot the relevant patterns and issues. So it's sort of like
This
strategic
is like
thinking.
one of my favorite things about you, I think.
That I
Is
just
it
make up
something-
stuff on the fly.
Yeah. Because it's something that I literally just don't have. Like a skill, a knack for it. So naturally, like you. You come up with solutions to things like within seconds, and it's impressive.
But sometimes I have to talk it through.
Well, yeah, you'll talk out loud and whatever. I'll listen, but then eventually you'll come to something, and it's always fun to watch or listen to.
Yeah.
You're strategic. You're number 4. That obviously falls under the strategic thinking theme.
Yep.
Which I have none. So again.
And that's my second one. Yep. I've had one so far. Number 1, activator in influencing. Number 2, ideation is under strategic thinking. Number 3, individualization is under relationship building. And then number 4, strategic, was under strategic thinking. And then number 5 is also under strategic thinking.
What's 5?
And that's futuristic. People exceptionally talented in the futuristic theme are inspired by the future and what could be. They energize others with their visions of the future, which I think comes back to storytelling and strategic thinking. Like seeing patterns and seeing where it's going, being able to come up, like spin a narrative on why it's going to go that way and how it's going to go that way, and then sell it to other people.
Mm-hmm. Supposedly, the strategic thinking helps you absorb and analyze information and informs better decision making, obviously.
So I have 3 in that, and one
we are completely opposite.
One in relationship building, one in influencing, and none in executing. We are. What have we talked about when I've talked about growing the team? I was like, we need someone that's like an executor, right? Someone that we don't need any more creative thinking. We don't
need any more like people skills. They just need to get shit done.
Yes, they need to want to sit in a corner, not necessarily talk to people all day, but just like get lists
hammer
from
through
us.
That work.
And because one of my weaknesses is the tiny little details. I don't care about them to do them enough to do them necessarily right away.
Right.
And
I care about the details for sure, but it just there gets to be too many of them to keep track of within.
But you also couldn't be like the front line of a business, and neither could I, because if someone called with like a question to set up a time to do something, and this is what they want for the price, you'd be like, yes, whatever you want to pay, fine with me. I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yep.
And then for me, I'd be like, you know what I was thinking? Let's brainstorm. And it would turn into a half-hour call, and I wouldn't write anything down. We need someone that part of the team that shares similar values to us, but has more in the executor range and has a somewhat inappropriate sense of humor. If we can find that.
We definitely need that last part too.
Yeah, they have to
critical.
be able to do that. Otherwise, we'll just have a lawsuit on our hands.
This is such a good tool for businesses of all sizes. Clearly, we're an example of the small end, but for hiring, because we know exactly where, like we said, we fall in the big gamut.
Yep.
And where there are gaps to fill.
And so if people are interested in this for themselves, which I think they are if they're listening right now.
Oh yeah.
Where should they start, or who should they go to?
Well, this assessment is literally online at Gallup. mygallup.com, I believe, is the URL. But so anybody can take it at any time, and I think it's like $35. Do you know the cost?
Yeah, I think there's a deal right now that it's $30 for your top 5, and
okay, so there's that part of it. Like you can also buy the book, and then you'll get the code to take. You can do the bundle deal, and it'll get you the assessment. Then you can actually. I have the book at home. There's a short chapter on each strength that'll explain more. But then another component of it, which I think is the more important side of things, is really understanding deeper how each strength applies to the work you're doing, whether or not that's relating to your happiness at work and in life. And that sometimes takes talking to somebody who knows a hell of a lot more about the topic, the StrengthsFinder in general topic, than you. So my friend Kim Madsen does a really, really good job. And I've chatted with her about this many times about strengths, and she'll essentially coach you through the process of utilizing these things and helping to better understand yourself and the people you spend your time with at work, the people you spend your life with.
Because a lot of businesses have actually taken this and then implemented it not just on an individual basis to determine their own like happiness or where they fit, but they've used it to build teams within their current staff and to give people roles that fit their strengths more. Just locally on the Midwest campus here, for sure, Novatech has every single person has a nameplate or an office, and right on their nameplate, when they clock in, if they work in the plant and they slide their nameplate in, it has their 5 strengths listed right there. Or if they have an office that's more permanent or a desk, it has their nameplate with their strengths right there. And so it can help, I think, filter communication between people, so I can identify like, oh, you're different than me, so I should maybe communicate this way. And it allows people to not be hung up so much on their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because if I was just after getting the next job that pays me more, I might take a job that's more of an execution role, and I'm going to hate it or struggle.
Right.
Both, probably.
Yeah.
And now we can be more drawn to things that naturally fit like my talents. And then when you're building a team, organizing all of the work, when you got this huge mess of work and you've got a team, how can we break this up into pieces and who should take what piece?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot of ways something like this can help you. And there's clearly a lot of assessments
right
out there.
This is one of the more well-known.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is definitely one of the more popular ones and can get you somewhere. Like if you're feeling stuck at work or just in a rut kind of personal development wise, I think this could be a cool tool to just kind of get you back on track.
Absolutely.
And help you understand where you have to grow and what you can work on.
And
be happy with who the hell you are and what you're good at, because we all have skills. It's just a matter of tapping into them.
Notice they aren't called like your strengths and then here's your weaknesses. They literally are saying, here are the positive things about you. If you want to look up where the other strengths fall on the 1 through 44, 35 or whatever they are, they don't say any of these are your weaknesses. They're just different levels of your strengths. And so it's a positive spin on it. And at bare minimum, it'd be interesting for you and your spouse or a best friend to do it and take it and see how that works out. Because that would be interesting.
Be a fun conversation. Like just like this one has been so much fun. What I was just thinking in my head is it'd be cool to have Kim on here and have her. She kind of does this in when we'll be at events and stuff. Like somebody will be talking and she'll pick out what traits or sorry, I should say the strengths of that person. Like, they're definitely this.
Right.
I kind of want her to try and identify ours because she probably won't listen to this podcast.
No, and if she is, she's like, why the hell am I not sitting with you right now?
I know.
And Kim, I'm going to speak directly to you. It's because we don't plan in advance.
I know. We just came up with this topic an hour ago.
We were on our way here. In Jamie's words, she texted me, like, let's talk about 1017 work a little bit and then podcast, like it's a verb. So that's as far in advance as we go. So
sorry, Kim, but this is why we're giving you a shout out, and maybe we'll do a follow-up where we can talk more about... We can have you guess on the spot and talk more about how to really dive into these more.
Cool. All right, everyone. Well, if like I said, if you're looking for something at home to do as an activity with your partner and you've consumed all of your alcohol already, so you got nothing else.
Also, maybe you should do it with a drink or two in you.
But it's something you and your spouse could do. It'd be kind of fun to you can go online and do that.
Good quarantine activity.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands.